So the story behind the song Trust in You really goes back to fall 2018. My younger brother Jackson had been diagnosed 2 falls earlier in 2016 with a blood disorder. He had undergone multiple, medicines and treatments, and they just weren't working. So my parents decided to have him undergo a bone marrow transplant. We didn't really know much of what that looked like, what was this situation going to potentially result in, and there was a lot of anxiety, at least for me, in that season. One day before they actually left to go down to Rochester to get the transplant, I was just playing guitar in a private spot. I actually had my capo on the 4th fret and went to start a song, and actually my fingers were in the wrong spot, and so it ended up being a different chord and a different key. For whatever reason, instead of just kind of laughing off and whatever, that was oops, happens all the time, right? I felt this we'll stay here for a bit, we'll sit on this, and I didn't know, but that was a time where God was calling me to pour out my heart before Him. And that's what happened very quickly. I realized, I need this. I need this time right now to just bring what I have before the Lord, to tell Him what I'm feeling, and to give my emotions over to Him and let Him handle them. I felt so strongly God leading me in that moment to Psalm 91 verse 2. I will say of the Lord, He is my fortress and refuge, my God, in Him I will trust. And in that moment, there was just a supernatural peace. God promises to meet us in our times of need, to give us peace that passes all understanding, and I felt that in that moment. It was in that moment of free worship and just giving my heart to the Lord that the songs Trust in You actually started. I just started singing, and it actually ended up being a little more organized over time. I started writing lyrics down, and by the end of that day, most of the lyrics I had written down are the ones that are still part of the song. Most of them are 100% original to the moment they were born. I brought my burdens before the Lord that were really heavy, and God took them from me. And that song really helped carry me through the various times in that entire fall season where I was feeling that anxiety again. I would be led back to this song and remember, even if I don't see the whole picture, I can trust that God sees the whole picture. I can trust that what doesn't make sense to me, God knows what He's doing, that it's in His hands, and I can rest with that, and I can trust that He is totally over all, and He has a better plan than we could ever imagine. That was a big revelation for me in that time. Sometimes concepts like these, they're simple to grab onto, but not really under the surface what they entail, the surrender that comes with trusting the Lord. And praise the Lord, it really set my heart back on track and got me back to where I needed to be. This song hasn't just helped me through that season, but in seasons since then, when I felt anxiety similar to that, I'm super melancholic, I'm prone to that, unfortunately. And this song has really been a utility, a reference, a weapon against that. I can trust in God because He has better plans than I have for myself. Today, my brother Jackson has been healed. He's been slowly, his platelet and blood cell counts have been rising back to normal, and we're praying that he will eventually be to that point where he will have totally normal numbers. We appreciate so much. There have been so many prayers going out in the past year and a half, more than that now, and God really has worked a testimony in his life, and just this whole season is a testimony to God's faithfulness and His just being true to who He is. God doesn't change based on our circumstances, and if we can remember that, our circumstances won't change, but our perspective on them will. So that's my prayer, is that today you would be led back to the truth of who God is, and that you would be inspired and encouraged to put your trust in Him in a deeper way than before. God bless.